Welcome to High Strangeness, where we ask questions and explore all that is strange and unexpected in our reality.
All right, Jason, man. So good to finally get to meet you and to chat with you. How are you doing, man?
Tony, I'm great. How are you, man? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be great. I've heard your story and I'm excited to share it again. And, when somebody experiences something, I think it's like cool, crazy, amazing, all of it, all put together. And so I like to share that kind of information. Before we jump into it, though, you are in Alabama, right?
The event happened in Alabama. I live just south of the Alabama line now in the Florida Panhandle.
Nice. Sounds good. And is that where you've lived always, or have you been anywhere else?
Pretty much. I lived in South Alabama where it happened there in Sampson. Moved there in '86. We moved away for a few months and moved back, but that's where I graduated high school from. And lived there until '04. I moved down to the Panhandle, got back into Florida, and I've been here since.
Yeah, that's really cool. I've got five kids that are all grown up, and I've got one daughter who's trying to get us all to move to Florida because she wants to go there so bad. I mean, we're pretty close. We stay and we do a lot together. So she's kind of like, come on, man, let's go down to Florida. So she loves it. And I actually lived there for a while when I was young. So I was a little bit further south though. So how do you like the Panhandle though? Is that really cool there as well?
It's okay. It's a good place to live for the most part. We survive around here on tourists mainly. At the beaches, I work down at the beach, and my wife works there. She's in service industry as well. It's fun. It can be fun, but it's good to get away. We see the beach every day.
Yeah.
People who live in, say, Tennessee, Kentucky, places away from here up in the mountains, they come to the beach because they want to see the beach all the time. We see it all the time. We want to see the mountains.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
love the trees and the green, and they love the blue and the sand. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I grew up on the East Coast. I was on the beach a lot, and now I'm in Utah, surrounded by all the mountains, and it's been cool. I mean, it's a cool change, and I really enjoyed the differences. But I like everywhere. So, okay, Jason, let's get into some of this because you've had some stuff going on, man. Now, just for everybody out there listening, we're going to get into his story, but we're going to start with some questions first, and then he will be able to kind of share the story all the way through without any interruptions. I hope no interruptions. I might come up with a question here and there, but you never know. Okay. So as we dive into this, tell me about the setting, right? Where were you when this event happened? Like, help us see it with our eyes, through your eyes.
So the particular land that we leased to hunt on it's a swampy area, it's wetlands, but there's some hardwood bottoms in there, a lot of cypress and live oak trees, some holly, reed breaks. There's some reed back up in there. It's just pretty land, It's just something you would imagine, really. If you looking at books and stuff, you would imagine a river scene, the woods next to a river would look like,
Nice.
It's set back off the highway quite a ways before we ever got to where we had to park. It was about a mile off the main road. And then after we parked, we probably walked a quarter mile to half a mile back to where my stand was.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was the youngest, I sat toward the front of the trail, right toward the area that we hunted. I only had to cross 2 or 3 sloughs to get to me. And then my stepdad would go one direction, my uncle would go the other. They would go off another quarter mile or so. And that's where we hunted. That was our area.
So is this early in the morning, late in the evening, midday? When did this happen?
It was late in the evening. During this time, we'd get up in the morning, we'd go hunting. We'd be in the tree, before sun up. We'd sit there till about 9:30, 10 o'clock. We'd come home, get some breakfast, eat, take us a nap, wait till about 1:30, 1:30, and we go back to the woods and sit there until dark. And
Nice.
this day it happened, it was in the afternoon. We had just went back out there, and it was kind of warm. It wasn't really cold. It was just like a nice mild December day.
Okay.
And I was sitting in the tree, a little breeze blowing, a full belly, and I just rocked myself to sleep.
So nice. What were you guys actually hunting at this time?
Whitetail, whitetail
Okay.
deer.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of, and we were poor whenever I grew up, so a lot of people that hunted around us and people I went to school with, they would go hunting for trophies, they want a big buck or something. Horns don't make soup, you know.
That's right.
That's if it was brown, it's down. That's how we were.
Yeah.
We hunted for food. We didn't hunt for prizes or trophies.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so when you guys did that, you're coming back, you're ready for you've got stuff for the family for whatever period of time.
Yep.
That's the way to do it for sure. So, okay, now you spotted something, and I'm
Yes.
curious, the moment you spotted something, like how did it catch your eye?
Just I woke up. Whenever I woke up, I was fixed on it. It was there. It's like I knew it wasn't supposed to be there, and my eyes fixed on it. I saw it, and I just recognized it and got scared.
Wow. How far away was it from you, do you think, in terms of yards, maybe?
It was between me and the last slough that we had to cross to get to my tree stand. It was between us, so I'm saying I always thought it was around 40 to 50 yards.
That's pretty close. That's really
Yeah.
close, actually. You can see things extremely close from that distance. I mean, very clearly, I guess. So with all this happening, when you relate the story, the speed of it and how quickly things move, we'll get a feel for that. But I'm trying to slow it down for these questions.
Right.
Could you determine the size? Did you catch its eyes? Like, what do you remember at that moment?
I could see his eyes, but they were set back in. He had a pronounced brow, and they were set back in his head, so I couldn't see details of his eyes, but I knew his eyes were there. Had a broad, flat nose and a pronounced upper lip. Very, very dirty, a dark brown looking, and the only thing I can think of, it looks like a dirty oak tree.
Yeah.
Like an old, dirty, mossy, muddy oak tree is the way he looked.
Do you think was he looking at you? He or she? Was it looking at you?
It was looking in my direction. I felt the 16-year-old terrified me. I felt like he was staring at me, wishing I was dead. That's just the terror that I felt, because everything I'd ever heard or read, they were, except for Harry and the Hendersons, they were always monsters,
Yeah. My goodness. I mean, once again, we're pulling pieces out here of the full story, but did it approach you? I mean, something's going to happen that we're going to talk about, but before anything else, you wake up, you see this, and now all of a sudden you're capturing these details. Is it approaching you? Is it seeing you and going, what do I make of this?
It didn't. It didn't make any movement. It just stared at me like it was staring into my soul. Is the only way I know how to put it. But it never made any motion toward me before I acted.
Do you have any, were you fixated at its face, upper body? Did you catch the whole stature of it?
I looked at the whole picture, and it wasn't like it's not like I saw it individually. It was a large figure is all it was. It wasn't, I didn't see a person and there were arms and legs and I could tell dimensions. I saw its shape and how large it was, but that was it, other than being dirty.
Yeah, for sure. Did your impression Whether it was like lanky, more athletic, or stocky.
It seemed stocky. It seemed like it was filled out as much as I could tell from I don't have anything for comparison other than what I saw there, but it looked healthy.
Ooh, man. Imagine waking up to that, everybody. Like he opens up his eyes and you do not expect to see something like this at all, right? I
No,
mean,
not at all.
you've gone hunting up to this point, right? When you're a young man, I'm
Right.
assuming. So any other animal, you're kind of like, oh, cool. But this thing, not so much.
Right. And I had seen big cats in the area before. I knew there was bears in the area, but I had never seen any. I'd heard them. I knew there were hogs as well.
Yeah.
But some of the signs and some of the sounds leading up to that day, it didn't come from any of those.
Okay. I want to get into that a little bit later. Don't let me forget the sounds
Okay.
and signs coming up to that point. We got to remember that. Now, so I think I know the answer, but my question to you is at that moment, was there any debating in your mind as to, am I looking at a human, a bear, or this? Like any thoughts?
It was it was a creature. In my mind, it was just a monster. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, that's all I could think of. It's a monster and it's going to hurt me.
You know,
Every kind of like every bad thing you ever done in your life, kind of you think back on it and I'm so sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But
yeah.
yeah,
Well, and you're there to hunt. And you have something in your arms,
right.
and some people just flat out crapped their pants. But you did what?
I did what I believed was defending myself.
Yeah.
So I picked up my rifle. I drew down on it, and all I could see was just the body.
Mhm. Mhm.
I aimed center mass and just started firing. I fired once. That's when I was aiming, and the rest of the time I closed my eyes and was just pulling the trigger, cycling through and pulling the trigger until it wouldn't fire.
Wow. How many shots was that, do you think?
Six. It was six. And when I got done, once I got done with the six, as the sound of the shot is, rings out as it's going away, it's the creature's howling. It begins to scream and howl, and it's so loud. I throw my gun down and pull my knees up, and I'm just
Wow.
covered up as it's yelling.
Yeah. Pain sound, mad sound, or both?
Both. The only way I could describe it as a kid, whenever I was growing up, and the only thing I could think of was it sounded like the cross between a banshee and a dinosaur. And at the same time, it had a high pitched wail and screech to it, but there was a roar as well. And that's the only way I could ever describe it. And I heard a guest on the show a couple weeks ago saying it sounded like you had two vocal cords,
Mm.
two sets of vocal cords. And that's, if you could imagine what that sounded, that's what I would think it would sound like. Just the screech and wail and the howl at the same time.
That's so interesting that you say that, Jason. I remember hearing a vocalization where I got that same impression. I felt like it sounded like two, or in the middle, it split into two different directions. The
Hmm.
vocalization. That's interesting. I don't know why I didn't think about that before, even though I picked up on it. So when you say it like that, yeah, it makes me think that their range must be something different.
That's what I thought of initially, because, like I said, originally all I thought of was a banshee, a high pitched squeal or wail of a banshee, and the roar of a dinosaur.
Any type of dinosaur? Who knows, right?
Just whatever I've heard on Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't break those sounds out either. I'd be like monster. Okay, so you're like one aim, and then you're just like, oh God, shoot, 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 right?
Yep.
When do you think you opened your eyes after that, and what did you see?
When I stopped hearing the wailing,
Okay.
because I couldn't hear him anymore,
Hmm.
or it. I couldn't hear it anymore. So I didn't know what it was doing.
Yeah.
So that's when I opened my eyes. When I opened my eyes, I could hear it and see the edge of it as it was leaving to my
Okay.
left.
Okay. Did do you think And this is tough, right? To look back and try to dissect these moments. Do you think after that last shot went off and you're just click, 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 how much between that and the time that you did look up and see what you saw?
It was probably just a few seconds, but
Okay.
in the moment at the time, it seemed like a lifetime. It seemed like forever, but it was probably only like 5 seconds or so.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. My question next is, did you just sit up? First of all, how high up were you in the stand? Were you?
We built our own stands,
Mhm.
so they were my uncle and my stepdad were carpenter by trade, so we built our own stands, own ladder stands out of 2x4s and plywood. So I was sitting about between 15 and 20 feet. I don't know for sure, but
Okay.
between 15 and 20 feet.
Yeah, I can maybe it really probably was a surprise to it, wasn't it? Not thinking to see a young man sitting up quite that high up. That's crazy.
Well, now that you mention it, when I first started telling people my story, I sat on it for 30 years before I ever told anybody. And is because I had reached out to Stacy
Hmm.
and told him, and I wanted to get into doing it more often. I wanted to be able to go out and look. And so I decided just, hey, let's just try to do something with it. But
Yeah.
as I told him, and I started talking to family members about it, I started remembering things that happened that led up to the events of that day. So I played football, and during football season, I really didn't go hunting with them as much as I would in the off season. So right after football season, when I first started going back in there, I couldn't sit in my stand. My tree stand had been ripped out of the tree
Hmm.
and was laying down on the ground. Now, that year we had a tropical storm. I don't know if the tropical storm had thrown it on the ground or if something ripped it off. I just know it was on the ground.
Interesting.
So I couldn't sit in my stand. About 20 yards behind my stand, where I would usually sit, there was a giant white oak tree that had just huge acorns that would fall off of it. But there was a holly tree that was laid over against it that made a perfect blind. So I told myself, hey, it's a perfect blind. I'll sit up underneath here and I'll just hunt from here. And I did that for 2 weeks until I got my stand up, and I killed 2 deer.
Wow.
But looking back on it now, after doing the research that I've done and everything that I've learned, it could have ripped my stand out of the tree because it was there. And the lean-to, the tree structure, that could have been his blind. I could have been in his habitat killing deer and not known it.
Right.
Because, and it's 94. I didn't know anything about Bigfoot back then. There wasn't a lot of information like there is now. We can research and find out anything we want about them, almost within reason.
Hmm.
But I didn't know about any of this back then. The vocalizations, the howling, the tree stand ripped out, the tree structure where the holly tree was leaned against a white oak tree that I could hunt under. So he may have known I was there, and I could have been upsetting him.
Yeah. Wow. Really, those are interesting details to think back on, right? Because you're like dissecting that a little bit and saying, man, I wonder if like this caused me to be up there, which caused maybe
Right.
he may have created that situation not knowing you were going to be there, but then you were there in that spot. That's really crazy. Okay, so without getting into the whole story, I'm assuming at some point, or maybe you were too freaked out. At some point, did you guys get down, you and the family, the guys sit there and look for anything like footprints, any blood, anything like that?
So after about 10 minutes, whenever I could not hear anything running anymore, I got down because usually when one of us shoots, we wait about 10 or 15 minutes. We go to whoever shot, and then I was the youngest and the strongest, and both of them. I had to carry all the deer out anytime we killed a deer.
Lucky you.
Yeah. Whenever they came up to me, they wanted to know what I had killed, and I told them what had happened, and they didn't believe me. They just kind of laughed it off. I even brought up the fact they had to have heard it scream when I shot. They did. They thought it was me yelling for them because I had killed something. They thought I was excited.
Whoa.
So, and what upset me about it was we had seen things before then, and they knew there was footprints. We had seen footprints. We had seen tracks, and they dismissed it. We had seen deer that were tore up, and it was dismissed, and it was just, there was somebody out there that wasn't supposed to be there. That's how that it was always told to me. There was just somebody out there barefoot that wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
But when they got to me, we saw the prints. I told them. They didn't say much. We found blood. It wasn't accumulated. It wasn't a lot of blood. It wasn't bright red, so I don't think it was oxygenated, so I didn't need it anywhere vital. There were just drops. So enough to where we could find a few prints. We'd find some blood, prints, and then some more blood. We followed it all the way to the river. The tracks went into the river, and once they went into the river, they were gone.
Man, you hit that sucker too. I mean, you did, but now you did at this point.
At least once. I don't know where, to what extent. I just know at least once.
Yeah, jeez. Wow. Now, you know how sometimes when people go through something scary, and it can be anything like you almost get in a car accident, right? They afterwards is when it hits them. The heart's beating. And the whole thing, you get, some people get a little heart, they get like a pulsation in their lower back. How did you feel after this? I mean, was adrenaline going, or were you just like, holy hell, what happened? I mean, I don't know how to think about this. What was your mental state?
For a long time, like right after it had happened, I had tunnel vision. Like everything was gray except for like one little dot in front of me. Everywhere I looked, it was tunnel vision. But even after that, I think I was more mad and upset. Like I was terrified at what I saw, but I was upset that they didn't believe me. Yeah. That I know what happened. I know what was there, and they just never believed me. And they didn't tell anybody in the family about it either. I asked multiple people in our family, and it was never mentioned.
So, Jason, do you think, and people do this sometimes, right, when it doesn't fit with their logical mindset, they defer it. They just toss it out of their mind. Do you think that your family members were like, because you even said there was some evidence of some things before this point,
right?
Were they just like, I can't dismiss it. This is it. Yeah, interesting. I mean, we all know, like, and more than all of us, is that when you experience something, well, until you experience something, we can all say how we're going to react. But until we do, we don't really know. So these guys that went with you, was it brother and uncle? I mean, father and uncle, stepfather and uncle?
Yeah, stepdad and his brother.
Yeah. So since that point, years later, and I know you didn't really talk about this for a while, did it ever come up again between you and those guys?
I had mentioned it a couple of times to them, and it was still dismissed. And, it's just a laugh or an eye roll and a head shake.
Interesting.
And that was it.
They didn't want to go there. Yeah.
And I don't know why, because other people in our family are as infatuated with Bigfoot as I am.
Yeah.
I am now. So it's not like it was taboo for us, but I guess then in the 90s, it would have been taboo for them.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, how people, especially then in a small town, Alabama, they saw a Bigfoot and a lot of rumors.
Yeah, the old generation where they're like, no, didn't happen. Yeah. Jason, have you had any other strange experiences? And this can be really anything. And I ask this question because, one, maybe you've had something since then, or sometimes people have other types of experiences, phenomena, stuff that kind of,
Yep.
can you tell me about that? Have you had anything else happen?
Yeah. A lot. I've not had any other cryptid experiences, Bigfoot or anything like that, but I've had a ton of paranormal stuff.
Interesting.
I've had paranormal stuff happen for a long time.
Maybe
So,
we'll get into that a little bit because
what you
I think it's interesting because you find that people that experience some of this, not everybody, but I don't know if people are more in tune to some of this,
right?
and some people just aren't, right? I mean, it's just interesting to me that usually when somebody experiences something, they've also experienced something else.
They have
And
that
then,
energy.
yeah, there's something about it that, like, I don't think we understand it yet. And that's why I ask, because I just like to
Right.
see where people are on that.
No, I got a good ghost story from when I was 12, 11, December of 89. We used to live in a funeral home.
Well, there you go. You living in a funeral homes, you're like right there at the nexus point for
Yep.
spirits going in and out of our dimension. Well, would you be willing to share it? I know we're here, everybody talking about this Bigfoot experience, but hey, I can't
Oh,
let it go.
absolutely.
Yeah, I
Nah,
can't let it go.
sure. So, I told you, I mentioned before we were poor, when I was growing up, and we had those old gas heaters around, that had the little porcelain plates inside of them.
Hmm.
So you'd have one for each room. Well, we didn't have gas. So we had taken, in this big house, it was a nice house. It was an older, nice house, an old funeral home. Um, but we didn't have the gas, so we put a wood burning stove in the living room and hung some sheets up. So we like cordoned off the house. My mom and stepdad, they were sleeping in the dining room. I slept on the couch. My sisters, their bedroom was up front of the house. So they got to sleep in their own beds.
Yeah.
Well, if you turn the dampener on the front of the stove just a little bit, it lets out enough light that it lights up the room. And I was laying there asleep one night, and there was just enough light hitting the living room. I heard something, and whenever I looked up, there was an old man sitting in a rocking chair, rocking,
Mm.
just slowly rocking in a rocking chair. Had on a flannel shirt and a set of Liberty overalls.
Wow, that's pretty specific. You saw this not as a
Oh,
misty thing. You saw it pretty clearly.
he was there. And I lifted
Wow.
my head and looked at him. Whenever I did, he went away. So I lay back down. I waited a little while, and after a little while, I heard a noise again. And I looked, and he was back in the rocking chair, just rocking.
Mm.
So I did, like any 11-year-old would do. I just snatched the cover up over my head and
Well, when he
just
disappeared that first time, was it a flicker out or was it more of a misty gone kind of a thing?
he. It was a phase. He just.
Oh, wow.
It's just
Crazy. So would you say, have you had other paranormals like that too? Ghosts, or was it other things?
ghosts mainly,
Yeah.
mainly spirits, stuff like that. Not just me, the kids too. I have a lot of stuff around.
Yeah.
One time, a few years ago, we were laying in bed, and I mentioned to my wife that it was hot. And whenever I said it was hot, we heard a crash, and we got up and we walked in to check on our boys to see if they were okay. They were both still in bed, but the cover of the thermostat was laying on the floor. It came off of the thermostat, and it was turned all the way down to 53.
Whoa. Something's talking to you. Man, crazy.
We saw we were out on an expedition in Osceola at the end of March, and we saw a full body apparition there too, and
Really?
a creature. Yeah, we had pulled up to this area, and there were three of us. There were three teams, and the first team had went in as far as they could go, and then the second team went in a mile away, and we were a mile behind the second team.
Hmm.
So there was a mile in between all three of us. And as we went in, I noticed my thermal camera had went dead. I had, after having full charge. Um, the lady that was with us, Rachel, her thermal camera had went dead, and one of the other people that was with us, Flat Rock, his thermal camera had went dead. So that was 3 batteries that lost all their charge.
Yeah, that's not an accident. Yeah.
And Rachel, she had taken pity on me because mine wasn't working. And before she realized hers wasn't, she let me use her full spectrum camera. And we were looking down the road and we see there's a light down the road a little ways. And we're trying to see what it is. And it's not showing up on the thermal that Stacy had. It's not showing up on my IR camera that my son had. But it's showing up on the full spectrum camera. And as I walk closer to it, it's a full body apparition. And I passed the camera around and all 4 of us saw it in that group. It was a little bit, well, it was a little bit shy of 6 feet. Long hair, shirtless, pants with a loincloth.
What in the world? Man, we got strangeness all around us.
We do. My son had started walking towards it, and which was going toward the other group as well, because we had messaged him, said, hey, there's something between us. Y'all start coming this way. We'll start going that way. Well, the other group, they heard something walking in the woods beside them, kind of mirroring the steps. And as we get close, my son Logan hears something, so he stops, and he starts backing up. Stacy's kind of laughing at him, asking where he was going. You know, Logan told him he heard something. Well, that's when Stacy looked, and he got his thermal, and he could see it as it came up and it crossed the road. He didn't have a card in to record it, though. And as we got up to where it was, we actually found the trail where it came up to the road and the prints. You can see where it had crossed the road.
Prints, really?
Yeah.
So this is not just a misty thing. This was
It was
form and shape.
Yep, there was physicality to it.
That's like a whole different perspective on this too. It's like, yeah, like to me, what is that? Because you see ghostly type apparitions, and then but then something like this that has form and it's,
Right.
and it's physical. Like, what is that? That's really bizarre, man. What? the
Yeah,
heck?
to have a physical and a spectral form is pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Okay, people, because we could go down this path for a while. We're going to reel it back in. Thank you for sharing some of this. Love it. But let me ask this question, and I want to have you just go ahead and run through the story from start to finish. If you could go back in time to that moment with the knowledge, maturity, and understanding you have today, put yourself back into that young man's body up on that tree. Would anything change? What would you do?
I want to believe that it would change. I want to believe that I would try to find out more.
Yeah.
I don't believe I would fire unless I felt threatened. I having knowledge that I have now. But, 16-year-old kid, I was just terrified.
Yeah, it's totally understandable. Actually, I'm impressed that as a young man, you pulled that thing up and fired it because, like I was saying earlier, I could just see a young man just crapping his pants and crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably was crying. To tell the truth, I probably was crying. But it was to me self-preservation. I really felt like it was me or him
Yeah.
at the time.
Right. So imposing and scary and big
Yeah.
and unexpected, and it didn't belong. That's right. All right, Jason, go ahead. Start that morning. Walk us through the experience from start to finish as you've experienced it, as you remember it.
Okay. That afternoon we got back into the woods. It was late afternoon. It was mild. It wasn't really cold, but it was just a nice, comfortable, mild December afternoon. I sat up in the tree stand with a full belly and went to sleep. So I was sitting there asleep, minding my own business. After a while, I heard this loud snap or a crack. I think it was a I believe it was a reed. Like he just coming across the reed break had just snapped on it, and it was just a one snap. And I woke up and looked, and about 40 to 50 yards in front of me, there was a creature between 7 and 10 foot tall, dark brown, like a dirty, muddy oak tree. His body was kind of V'd. He didn't come into a tight V, but you could tell he was stocky. And his eyes, I could see his eyes. I couldn't make any details out of them. They were set back into his head, sunken back into it. A broad, flat nose, pronounced upper lip. He was looking at me, and it scared me. It terrified me, and I went into self-preservation. I picked my gun up, and I just started pulling the trigger. I didn't aim anywhere specific. I just pointed at him. I looked through the iron sights, and I saw brown, and I just started pulling the trigger. Once I fired all 6 shots, as it was subsiding, all I could do was throw my gun down, cover my ears, because he was screaming this loud, hellacious howl. It sounded like we talked before. It sounded like he had 2 vocal cords: a high-pitched wail and a low roar.
Hi, did you know High Strangeness is looking for you? If you've seen something strange or experienced something, we want to know. Go to this website and the email address. Thanks, and let's get back to the show.
At the same time, whenever the scream subsided, I opened my eyes and I could see the movement as he was running away to my left, which was running back toward the river. And my stepdad, my uncle, about 10 minutes later, they came up, told them what happened. They rolled their eyes, dismissed, like, yeah. I'm like, no, I'm telling you, this giant was in front of me, and I shot him, and they didn't believe me until we saw the tracks, the prints, and the blood. We followed it. It was probably a quarter mile to the river. We followed it on down to the river. As the tracks go into the water, they disappear. We don't see them come out of the river on the other side. We don't see them up and down the river bank, and that was the last we'd heard of it.
You know, as you're describing this, and maybe this isn't true, but I feel I can see almost the emotion or something rising in you. Like, are you kind of like feeling this as you're describing it?
It does. It gives it, and it's crazy. I've told people now a couple of times, but it still gets to you thinking about the scream and the howl. And it's you're a 48-year-old man. Nothing should affect you like that, especially when it happened that long ago. But just the thought of the wail and the scream, it was terrifying, and it's still terrifying to think about it.
It's amazing. I interviewed somebody just last week here in Utah who had a sighting, describing it exactly the way you just did. Same color, same pronounced brow, same eyes sunken in. It's like you're saying the same thing. And here's the thing. She experienced it in the 1990s. And she, even today, like trembles and almost seems like she's going to pass out when she talks about it. It's crazy, the power it has over you as an experiencer on some of these things. Now, Jason, I've heard people say that the fear is projected sometimes upon the experiencer. Do you think, and this is hard because this is years later, but as a young man, it was just scary? Or do you feel like it was thrown on you just even like more pronounced than you would have thought?
I couldn't even speculate, but as scared as I was, it's just, I was a scared little girl. That's all it was to it.
That's understandable. I mean, once again, I think people need to realize that it's one thing to think that, oh, I would handle it this way. It's another thing to see it and have your reality shaken. Like it just doesn't belong, and you're now seeing it.
To feel, because it's not only in it, but to feel the concussion, to feel it reverberate in your chest when it yells, that vibration. and it'll upset you. People won't forget it, and they won't be able to overlook it. They won't
Yeah.
say, "Oh, he would have yelled. I would have just put a couple more in him while he was screaming." No, no, you wouldn't have. No,
Right.
you just shot him with a 30-30, and he's standing there yelling at you. You wouldn't shoot him again. You
Yeah.
would cover your eyes and ears and cry like I am.
Yeah, exactly. Did you feel, as I've heard this before as well, that the vocalization is like deep and penetrating? Would you describe that as that yell?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The vibration from it. It was like back in the '90s, kids throw subwoofers in their cars. You sit there and you
Hmm.
feel the bass when the bass hits you in certain songs. It's the same when you can feel the bass whenever it hits you.
It's crazy. I had information from a guy who was in Alaska, and I have some sounds of wood knocks, right? And it wasn't what I thought. Like, it was deeper, heavier, thicker as well. It seems like anything these Bigfoot do is very percussive, very powerful.
Yeah.
It sounded like somebody was hitting the tree with not just a bat, but something bigger and heavier. It was crazy. Like, I was like, how do
Yep.
you replicate that sound? It was crazy.
You can't.
Yeah.
And that's the part where I think frequency comes in. Like I have a whole other a lot of other fringe things that I think about when it comes to the creatures being interdimensional and frequency working to their benefit.
Yeah. I want to have a discussion with you here in a minute about that very point, because I think that's the secret spice right there. That's where I think if we want to understand this thing, we've got to be open to that, exactly what you said. But we'll get into that in just a minute. I do have to ask this because this is a question that it seems to occur pretty often. Did you notice any other phenomena at that point? Something in the sky, orbs, anything like that? Because sometimes people are seeing those things.
I didn't. Um, I've been asked that before, but I didn't see the lights, the orbs. There was no smell that came off of there's associated with the smell all the time,
Yeah.
from skunk ape to Bigfoot to all of them, but there was no smell.
And about the orb thing, I personally think if I've experienced it, it would have to hit me in the head because I would not. I'd be so what I just experienced. I'm not thinking sky or anything like that. It's just kind of interesting.
Right.
So, do you recall? But this is not probably a good question because you were asleep prior to this being woken up. I like to hear sometimes if they feel like they heard the silence of just like the forest stop. It's almost like the silence and stopping, almost, crickets, everything stop. But you don't recall any of that because you were probably
I
asleep.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Man, the other thing, another kind of a weird question is, did you feel like you had anything communicated to you at this point? I mean, you're in your own head at that moment, so you're just like, oh crap, right? Yeah,
Yeah, no, like telepathically.
yeah.
No, I didn't hear anything.
Any other members, yourself maybe, if you look back at things and say, I have a sensitivity? Any other members of family, maybe even your parents or anything like that?
Oh yeah.
Is this something that you guys have, do you think?
Yep. Just about every member of my family has some kind of, I guess I'd say, gift. Like we have some kind of something special that connects them with other members of our family, and we're sensitive to things like that, which is kind of weird. I could always, with my mom and my sisters, if they were in distress, I could hear them call my name, and I can call them and ask if they're okay. And the same with them. They could hear me. If I was in distress, they could hear me call their name and they would reach out to me.
So let me help make this clear. At a distance, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
That's great.
I live in the Panhandle of Florida, and my sister lives in Columbus, Ohio.
So that is a distance.
Yeah.
So you feel in tune enough to know I need to give her a call, right? Something's not right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see if she's okay. And I think the last time it happened where I had to call her, she had actually burnt her arm at work. with a grease fryer. So she had a big grease bubble right here.
Yeah.
That was the last time. But we're all pretty sensitive to stuff like that.
Do you guys ever talk about it, or is it just understood and you know it?
It's understood and we know it, and we've tried to explain it to some of the younger members of the family, but they don't quite get it yet.
Yeah.
We can't make them be as close as we were growing up, or if you hear or feel something, to recognize it, to be able to do something. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. What do you think? What are your theories? Now is where we're going to get into a little bit of this other stuff. What are your theories about Bigfoot? So, like, you've experienced something. You've probably researched or thought about it in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a lot of different ways that people go with this kind of experience with Bigfoot and that entity or cryptid itself. What do you believe is going on here with Bigfoot?
I think to an extent everybody is correct.
I like that.
But I don't think it's all one certain thing. Like, it's an ape that we've not identified, or no, it's an interdimensional being, or no, it's an extraterrestrial being, no, it's an ancient man. And I think to an extent all of them are correct.
Yeah.
So I think it is very old and ancient, but I think it does have interdimensional qualities to it,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it can transport.
Yes.
And like you mentioned earlier, you see the orbs around, it's just another form of energy. They change their energy into a light energy to move around. And that's the only way you can explain the way they disappear, other than an active camouflage, like a cloaking ability. And there are stories of people who have seen like the predator type creature in the trees or moving through the trees, where it appears like they have a cloaking device or they can turn invisible.
Makes you wonder if Predator came from, the idea for the Predator movie came from that. Because really, yeah, you're right. I've heard a little bit of that too as well. Really crazy to me. I'm trying to wrap my mind around this whole thing, and I think it's a lot of things. Now, one of the things that some have a belief on here in the Intermountain area. So, are you religious at all?
Yes.
Okay. So, Cain had a mark set upon him.
Right.
And there's a belief that, in some here, that Bigfoot is, or maybe the first Bigfoot is Cain. Had a mark set upon him, and he was cast out and kept separate from man, and probably has his own lineage, his own family, and because they've been around since the beginning of man, the knowledge of things, maybe interdimensional walking in. I mean, anybody living that long would be a lot smarter than the rest of us. That's for darn sure.
Absolutely.
So I don't know, just a weird thing that does exist. There's a belief that could be that.
And no, that's not a bad thought at all. Part of my belief was that when Cain had the mark set upon him, so the others would not harm him. So who was there? My question was, who is there to be the others? Who are the others that might have harmed Cain? And
Right.
that's what I believe, is that Bigfoot or Sasquatch, these creatures and beings, are the others.
The others, yeah.
That God was protecting Cain from.
That's as good a thought as any. Exactly. Wow. I like thinking about this kind of stuff because it goes way past the logical mind, and it's fun. It is fun to see somebody who never thought that way and then opens their mind to this, because they're like, whoa, no way. Yeah.
I've seen that firsthand the past few months. I've seen two people close to me, actually, who their minds are starting to expand, especially after I caught the full body. We got that full body apparition, and we were able to catch the light from it. We didn't see, you can't really see the apparition, it's because it's very grainy, but you can see the light from it.
Yeah.
But especially after catching that, they've changed their tune a little bit, and they're becoming more open-minded. And it's really cool to watch someone open up like that.
Yeah, because I do think you probably feel the same way that there is so much strangeness all around us. And if you take the time to look, all you can do is go, what the heck? Continually, because it's like, this is not what we've been taught, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Continually. And this is just a thing for me that, I just started doing on the side and trying to dig into and take more seriously. I would love, I could read and research high strangeness and cryptids all day long.
Yeah.
Frequencies and ancient civilizations and stuff. Anything, Randall Carlson or Graham Hancock, Scott
Yeah.
Walter, all those guys.
I love that those guys bring into light what so much of academia has forbidden to be talked about. Like, they're like, nope,
Exactly.
this is the way it is. And it's so clear from all of these ancient civilizations to even the pyramids. You pick it. Everything just does not fit with what we've been told is the lineage and origin of man. It doesn't seem to fit very well. So,
No.
anyway, man, okay. Jason, thank you so much for sharing this information with us. Now, I heard and understand that you are going to be diving into the world of podcasting and showing and talking about these things as well. Do you want to take some time to tell us about what you're doing?
Yeah, if you want to go here on YouTube to Papa Squatch Productions, we got YouTube going, we Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm not too big on TikTok yet, but really I'm just trying to document what we're doing. Any information I can gather and share to make this more mainstream. I just want to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to go on some more hunts, more expeditions. I'm hoping to get up to Land Between the Lakes later on this year. Hopefully we'll have an event going on pretty soon. We'll be at the Great Florida Bigfoot Conference, June 13th. So, yeah.
That sounds good. Now, is your scope going to be more following what you're doing and when you go out and check things out and maybe do some adventuring yourself? Or are you focusing as much also on other people's experiences, or are you just going to see where this organically goes?
I wanted to kind of do a mixture of both.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now we're going to have to see where it goes organically, but I would like to occasionally go out and film ourselves and any kind of stuff that we capture, have that on the show, but then, go through other people's experiences, interview people, stuff like that.
That sounds great.
And hopefully put out a few shirts so I can make some extra coin.
Yeah, exactly. Why not, right? No, that sounds great. So the name of your show is?
Papa Squatch Productions.
Papa Squatch Productions. Awesome. People check it out. And the only other thing I want to ask you is, have you had a chance to go back to the spot? And how did you feel about it when you did?
I have not yet. That particular piece of land was sold. So I have to get up with the new owners to try to get in with them, but I have permission to camp on property adjacent to that, and I can get up and down the river right there next to it. So we plan on this summer going back there, probably in July sometime. We'll be out there camping and spending some time, see if we can find anything.
The prospect of possibly seeing him again, or her, does that make you nervous, or are you excited for the possibility?
Kind of scared, actually. It does make me kind of scared because I'm not going to take a firearm with me. I know some people that'll be with me will have a firearm, but I'm not scared of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it's going to harm me in any kind of way. I'm more scared of other wildlife in the area, so I don't know if it's the same creature, if it still lives. Does it remember me? What's going to happen?
Right. Yeah. I'd be thinking that. I'd be like, I was just kidding.
Yeah. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. Jason, as we start to wrap things up here, what do you want to say to the people out there about the reality of Bigfoot?
The reality is these things are real. They're out there and they're much smarter than they've been led on, than people have led on. They they're incredibly intelligent as far as evading people, hiding. I think they're just curious more than anything else. They just want to know. Same as us. They may get to a point where it's amusing to them
Mm-hmm.
to do certain things where it seems like they're pranking you or playing jokes, stuff like that. But I don't think there's a reason to be scared of them.
Yeah.
Don't respect them, respect the environment, and leave no trace. As long as you take care of yourself and you're respectful, I think you're fine. I don't think there's anything out there to be scared of other than maybe a hog or a big cat.
Right. Yeah, I'd probably be more worried about some of those things, to be honest with you. Yeah. Well, Jason, thanks so much for sharing the story, the experience, and your perspective on all these things. Love what you're planning on doing, and I think you're right. There's a lot here for people to consider and talk about, and so why not do it? I love it.
Keep an open mind. Stay open-minded about it.
Yes.
I mean, if you hear Bigfoot, you believe in Bigfoot, but you don't believe in telepathy, or you believe in a dog man, but you don't believe in Bigfoot. Keep an open mind. Things could happen. It may not be exactly how you describe it, but something happened.
Yeah. I agree. There's a lot here to understand. We are so used to living in a world that we've created for ourselves, meaning man, and it's very structured, very sterile, and there's much, much more out there. Jason, thank you so much for being with us on the show and sharing your experience. And for the rest of you out there, remember, there's a lot of strange and unexpected in our reality. So always keep your eyes, ears, and minds open. And until next time, stay safe. Hi, we need your help to get bigger and better. How? Just like, comment, and subscribe. It's free, and it just takes a few seconds. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to High Strangeness. This was a glance at some of the strange that exists in our reality.